G'day, my name is Heidi from All Things Speed Puzzling, and today I want to share some tips on how to choose a puzzle if you intend on hosting or running your own puzzle races. Now, I host races, face-to-face races in Melbourne, in my hometown. I've hosted multiple races, and there are certain features that I look for when choosing a puzzle. So hopefully, if you are looking to host your own race, these tips will help you choose an appropriate puzzle. The first thing we look at, number one, is the image itself. Does the image have various points of interest that will hold the attention of your puzzler? This was an example of a puzzle that I chose for my first individual race. And you can see that it has lots of different points of interest to hold people's attention. The last thing you want is to choose a puzzle that is too difficult because they won't come back if they think the puzzle is going to be too hard. And you want something that you might not necessarily like the image. I think this is a really pretty image. As a pairs puzzle, this sort of worked because you could have someone working on the top half and you could have another person working on the bottom half. Image is a really important factor. Unfortunately, as a person who runs races, you are dictated to by your supplier and the quantity of stock. I had chosen the most incredible puzzle for a team's race, and I placed my order, and my supplier said, oh no, we don't have that quantity in stock. I had to choose another alternative. And I chose the puzzle that had this lots of sky and it had a lot of clouds, and that's what I ended up having to buy because that's all they had in stock. So I think if you are planning on hosting a race and you are looking at larger quantities, check with your supplier to see that they can actually get those large quantities in stock and in time for your race. Number two is the size of the pieces. Now, I host races for people who are at retirement villages and nursing homes, so they are not as dexterous with their fingers and they really appreciate the large-sized puzzle pieces. But I don't think that would work in an ordinary race if you have dexterity in your fingers. Similarly, there are pieces and brands that have these really tiny little pieces, no bigger than the size of my little fingernail, that are just too small. The middle one here is the one that works really well. Number three is gloss. It is my pet peeve in any race, having a puzzle that has high shine, high gloss. We competed in a race. There was hundreds of people in a race, and you saw everyone do this collective dance, and they were doing this the whole time, trying to see the pieces without the glare coming from the overhead lights. If you are hosting a race and you want people to come back and you want the experience to be enjoyable, don't get a puzzle that has a high gloss, high shine image. Number four is the fit. Now, everyone talks about certain brands and they talk about fit. You want a brand that has a nice, firm fit, but sometimes a brand can be too firm, and if you push the piece in and you've made a mistake, pulling it apart can be really hard because the fit is so firm, and you sometimes break the pieces when you pull them apart. Conversely, we have the opposite problem where some brands are very loose fitting and we have false fits. There's nothing more frustrating when you're doing a puzzle and you have a false fit or multiple false fits where a piece can go in multiple spots. I've seen puzzles that have pieces that push together. I know there are certain people that hate those styles of puzzles because you can't pick up and drop in. You have to slide, and sliding can take time, precious time away from your time. We want to try and avoid those at all costs. Number five is my pet love, and that is shape. I'm a natural shape sorter, and I like doing brands and puzzles that have all of those different shapes. Now, I don't know the names of these shapes. I call them innies and outies. So they might have 4 innies or innie, outie, outie. I don't know what the technical term is called, but I like to see puzzles that have those different shapes. Because if you get to a section of the puzzle that is all one block color and there's lots of pieces in that block color, you are going to find people resort to shape sorting. And if the brand only has that normal, regular shape, which is innie, outie, it can be quite frustrating when you get to a block color or a section of the puzzle that's really hard. So if you are interested in hosting your own events and you are interested in purchasing puzzles for your own races, look for these 5 features: image, high gloss or avoid high gloss, size is an appropriate size that you can spin in your fingers. Does it have a good firm fit and not false fits or loose fits? And does it have all of the different shapes in that brand? You will need to check with your supplier that you can get that level of quantity that you need. But if you are hosting your own event, I wish you all the best. Feel free to put some comments or questions in the feed, and happy puzzling.